Brussels Sprout Toast, I just want to give my flowers to my friend Riz Gets Fit, who is over on the Clock app, or you can also find her on IG. She has fantastic, quick little protein recipes and sharing her journey like I do. And this morning we're making breakfast, and I thought I would make it because ever since I discovered it, it's been one of my favorite go-to breakfasts. So what you're gonna require is some kind of base. You're gonna need some sort of bread. You could put this on a wrap. You could also put this on what's my preferred, which is some sort of sourdough. Today we're gonna be actually doing a focaccia because I happen to have this in the fridge left over from last week when I made it. So I made this here at home and I just wanna go through it. So we're gonna use what we have, and I encourage you to do the same. Off to the side, have a pan ready because we're gonna thinly cut this and then toast it for our bread. My preference is sourdough for this, just because I really like the taste of sourdough. I really like how when you toast sourdough, even the structure of it, and they say that sourdough can be a little better for you. I don't know how accurate that is. I'm not a doctor, so take that with a grain of salt. But I personally love the taste of sourdough and use that when I can. What I'm doing is I'm cutting these in about 1/4 inch pieces, and we're just gonna lay them out to be toasted in the toaster oven. So now I'm gonna go ahead and place these in my toaster oven, and I'm gonna allow them to toast until they have a nice brown on them. I also don't want these to be a little too limp for when we put on the topping for the toast. So as mentioned, you're gonna need some sort of base or bread. You could even throw this on a wrap if you wanted to. Now, as for the topping, what you're gonna require is some diced onion. You're also gonna have to thinly slice some Brussels sprouts for this. And then very important, we also need some plain Greek yogurt and some light feta to put on top to kind of create a base that the Brussels sprouts is gonna be on top of. And then the best part is we're going to top it with some balsamic glaze. If you don't buy Nona Pia's, I don't know what you're doing. It's the only one I like. I've tried so many other balsamic glaze and hers comes second to none. Next thing we're gonna do is chop our Brussels sprouts. I don't know how many people you're cooking for, but I'm cooking for me, myself, my sister, her partner, and my partner, Jeremy. So you're gonna wanna thinly slice some Brussels sprouts to be about this big, and we're gonna cook these down. These are gonna shrink quite a lot, so if you're cooking for more people, you're gonna need maybe about 10. When I'm cooking for just Jer and I usually do about 5 Brussels sprouts. You could also do this on a mandolin if you wanted to. However, I find when I use a mandolin on things that are small, I struggle with it and am more likely to cut myself. So I prefer to hand cut these on my own with a sharp knife, just watching my fingers and putting them in a little side plate like so. But a mandolin also works great too if you have the confidence to use that. I prefer mine for larger vegetables personally. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I hated Brussels sprouts growing up. I never ate them. I really disliked the taste. I've recently come to learn that children tend to have a lot more sensitivity to bitter vegetables than adults do. So in adulthood, it's normal to start kind of enjoying these things, and I personally really enjoy Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprout salads. I love making Brussels sprout on toast. I even just love having it as a side with dinner. It is fantastic and so versatile. But I didn't grow up liking eating it whatsoever. I really loathed Brussels sprouts, and really they weren't something I was exposed to much growing up as a veggie to eat. So you'll notice as I'm cutting these up, I'm throwing the butts of the Brussels sprouts to the side. Should you want to keep them, you could put them aside for a vegetable stock, or you can go ahead and compost them, which is what I'm gonna do this time. Now the focaccia has been toasted and taken out. It is sizzling. Can you hear that? It is sizzling. So we're gonna go ahead and set this aside to cool for when we're ready to top the toast. One thing I'm gonna do right now though, before it cools, you wanna make sure you take a piece of garlic and you're gonna rub it on top. It gives it a really nice flavor. I do this also when I do bruschetta. I'll show you how I do it now. So I take a garlic clove and I literally just rub it across the toast to give it some extra flavor. You can hear it rubbing, just like that. So you're gonna do that on every single slice. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that with every single slice, and then we're gonna get back to our Brussels sprouts. Okay, next steps is we're gonna have to go ahead and get a pan ready with some butter, or you can do a avocado oil, which I also have, or you can also do an olive oil if you want. Avocado is better for high heat, and so is butter. I would say just shy of a tablespoon. We're gonna go ahead and plop it in there, and we're gonna just allow it to melt before we throw anything on here. And I'm gonna leave it on a medium heat. We're gonna allow it to kind of simmer, and also you're gonna wanna make sure you have prepared, I already had these pre-diced and ready to go, some diced onion. You're gonna throw that in with your Brussels sprouts. I ended up doing a total of 9 Brussels sprouts for the amount of people I'm feeding. I believe this is almost a full onion or half of a large onion. We're not gonna use all of this, we'll probably use half. Okay, so now that our butter is melted and it's starting to bubble a little bit, we're gonna go ahead and throw in all of our Brussels sprouts. And then we're gonna also do the half of the diced onion, like previously mentioned. And you're going to cook this down until it is nice and soft. So we're gonna check back in. I'll show you, these are cooking down really nice and they're nice and soft. Even the onions are starting to become nice and translucent. So I'm gonna pick up the heat a little bit more so that they sear and get a little bit of a slight char, not too much. We're just gonna take it off the medium low and pick up the heat a bit for the last little bit while it cooks. Make sure it's spread pretty evenly for this part. You can even pat it down a little bit. Okay, so we just cut the heat on these. I'm not gonna toss them around because I still want them to get a little bit of that sear. And we're gonna bring them on over now to our prep station. Okay, so we're gonna set that down now. I am going to give it a little toss, and you're gonna see now how it's got a little bit of that char, but not too much. It's just gonna add to the flavor. Right there, you see there's a little bit of blackening happening, but not too much. We need 1 cup of plain Greek yogurt. I've put 1 cup in a side dish. This is where we're gonna now start building our topping before the Brussels sprouts go on top. We're gonna allow these to sit to the side to cool a little bit. Don't be afraid to just toss them around a bit so they can get a little bit of air if you need them to cool down a little faster. But 1 cup of your plain Greek yogurt. I've got some flaky sea salt. I've got some ground black pepper. And then over here, I actually have started patting down some feta. I have about half a brick of feta here, and you're gonna wanna give it with some paper towel or some sort of kitchen cloth a good push to make sure it is drained should you have not bought the pre-crumbled feta. If it's already crumbled, you can skip this step, but if it is already in the brick, you're gonna need to get out as much moisture as possible by giving it a good push a couple times over. And if you push it nice and hard, it'll start crumbling for you. Now what we're gonna start doing is taking this feta and crumbling it right into the plain Greek yogurt, like that. And it's up to you if you want it super fine. I like finding the odd, thicker crumb of feta in there, so I will leave that at your discretion how you like having it, but you're gonna just go ahead and crumble that all in there. You can also switch if you would like. It's not gonna hold everything together as well, but you can also choose to opt for a cottage cheese instead. All right, now that I've washed my hands, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to hit it with some fresh cracked pepper. Some fresh black pepper added into that. We're also gonna go ahead and hit it with some flaky sea salt. Now mine is very, very flaky, so I am going to be very careful with how much I add because it sometimes can add a little too much of a kick if I go crazy. I'm gonna leave it there. And now we're gonna go ahead and mix, and let's get a nice close up of what that's looking like. I've also seen, and I was kind of mentioning cottage cheese as being an option for a base, but it's not gonna hold together the feta as well because it is already chunky. Should you just wanna do cottage cheese instead of feta, that's a great option as well, but I just personally love the taste of the feta with the Brussels sprouts, and feta's a little bit more of a saltier cheese, which is so yummy. So this is what we're working with for our base. If it's chunkier than you would like, you can also go ahead, add a little bit more Greek yogurt than the 1 cup that we added, but I think this consistency is perfect. So I didn't end up using all of the feta. There was a small handful left, and then I felt like the chunkiness was the consistency that I liked already. So I'm gonna put that aside in a airtight container so I can eat it today or tomorrow or add it to a future batch. And all you're gonna do now is start topping some of this on your toast Don't be afraid to push down and spread it out. So you've got a little something like that. And I'm gonna just go ahead and do this to all of the pieces till each one has a base of this yogurt. Sometimes I do such a heaping bed of this base, and then other times I opt not to. It just depends how I am feeling and how much protein I want to get in, because all of your protein is in this base right here. So keep that in mind. Now we're on to our very last part, which is topping it with some of our Brussels sprout and onion mixture. So I actually don't mind being a little messy with this. Just go ahead and top. If it spills over, it spills over, it's fine. We're gonna go ahead and top like so. Honestly, this would trump like an avocado toast for me any single day, and you're getting more protein in it. So yeah, we're gonna opt for this one instead. I will have all of the ingredients listed in the description, as well as the nutrition facts, so that you guys have that for yourselves. Let's get you guys in nice and close so you guys can see. So this is the part you're gonna go in. You're gonna go ahead and top with your balsamic glaze. Now, does this have sugar in it? Yes, it does, but it doesn't stop it from tasting good. It is delicious, and it adds just that extra thing that when you're eating it without, you didn't know it needed, and it absolutely needs it. And that is what we're looking like there. It looks so delicious. So thank you so much for joining me while I made this Brussels sprout toast. It is going to be so good, I can tell already, but why don't we get into it together? Okay, you guys, this is so stinking good, and is exactly why it's in my rotation about 2 to 3 times a month now, solid. I'm gonna link my friend in the description. She is on a bariatric journey like myself, but as you guys see, I eat pretty normal now, but there is a high focus on protein and how I get that in. All of the ingredients will be linked below for you, as well as some instruction step by step, even though I showed you in this video how I went about it in case you wanna follow along or save it for future use. If you like videos like this where I show you guys what I eat, I show you recipes step by step, please be sure to leave a comment, drop a like, subscribe, and I'd be happy to show you guys more of me doing things like this, because I love doing it. I love to cook, if you guys didn't notice, and I hope it's in a way that you guys enjoy too. So bon appetit, and we'll see you guys next time.